I think that we could pick up also on other possible connections between metabiology and biology through algorithmic mutations, which are the unexplained aspects of biology.
Darwinian evolution.
In Darwinian evolution, like for example the big evolutionary jumps, the
major transitions in evolution.
Major transitions, Cambrian explosion.
The Cambrian explosion.
Elaborate
you're so
a little
right.
more of that.
Oh,
yeah.
well, okay. Thanks for the reminder,
Yeah.
Virginia. Yeah, well, the sort of microevolution is well explained by population genetics. That talks about how changes of gene frequencies vary in a population in response to selective pressures. But it doesn't talk about where new genes come from, and it doesn't explain the major transitions in evolution, like from single cell to multicellular. And it also leaves you in the dark about the Cambrian explosion, which is particularly mystifying. Well, the creation of life is very mystifying. That's doesn't seem to be a question that is addressed by Darwinian evolution at all. Mm-hmm. But the question of life, from the point of view of metabiology, is the question of where software comes into existence spontaneously in the natural world, and that's a problem. But there is the question of the Cambrian explosion. I've been in Canada near where the Burgess Shale that inspired Gould was his name, the biologist who wrote a book on this, Wonderful Life. Stephen Jay Gould. Yeah, and I saw some of the fossils. They had a museum. They don't want people to visit the site and mess up the fossils, but they had a little museum down below in the valley where they showed these fossils that look pretty insignificant. But what's significant about them is that you see hundreds of different body plans all of a sudden down in the bottom of the ocean where you didn't have animals, and all of a sudden you have too many kinds. Well, completely crazy things, 6 arms, 4 eyes, legs here, legs there.
Right.
They look completely wild, like somebody has gone berserk. And it's sort of it's as Stephen Meyer points out in his book Darwin's Doubt. He's a creationist I feel very sympathetic to, because he has a very good mind and he's very interested in biology, and his books on creationism usually only talk about God in the last chapter. Up to there, it's really a very good discussion of things that are hard to understand in the normal Darwinian account. So that stuff can be appreciated by anybody, regardless of their religious beliefs. Yes.
It's a very sound criticism of the theoretical stature.
Absolutely,
of
absolutely. Yeah, well, Stephen Meyer had a philosophy education at Cambridge. We enjoyed talking with him. We got invited to those 2 crazy creationist meetings. I don't think they want us there anymore, but it was an interesting experience. And the Cambrian explosion afterwards, it looks like of all these fossils, one of them was the first vertebrate. Mm-hmm. And one of them that looks completely insignificant turns out to be the ancestor of most animals on Earth now. So you have this explosion of biological creativity, which is a little difficult to understand with the conventional Darwinian account of gradual steps. There's also Gould himself backed something called punctuated equilibrium, which says that normally evolution is relatively stationary, and then all of a sudden there's an outburst of creativity, and the fossil record seems to indicate this. Right. I guess under conventional account this would be due to changes in climate or continental drift creating totally new geological configurations that the animals have to adapt to. Right. But there's also missing intermediate forms that Darwin already discusses, and that some intermediate forms have been discovered, but others are missing. So to get bigger transitions in evolution, maybe, I think Erich Zathmary thought maybe algorithmic mutations are relevant to this problem. That doesn't worry most biologists, but it worries creationists who think it's an opportunity for God to play a role, and it worries good theoretical biologists like Erich Zathmary. So we were pleased as punch that I especially thought that this really vindicated your intuition, Virginia, that one doesn't have to apologize for algorithmic mutations. This seemed to be the most intriguing feature to these theoretical biologists, really. That it suggests this new line of thought to see what kind of mutational mechanisms are really possible, and if this might help to explain places where evolution doesn't seem so gradual. Seems to be more of a burst of creativity.